Nope. I'm sorry, y'all, but now I have to get back into the PowerPoint because it went away and I was just having a hard time. Technology. Or maybe it's because my brain is still clouded with COVID, which, by the way, is why I had to cancel. My apologies for not, being with you guys. All right, let me make sure. Okay, we are recording. Okay, just needed to make sure. Okay, so I actually got this PowerPoint from Stacy Boitnott, and then I modified it to fit our age students and beyond. So I just kept her name on here as one of the people who did this PowerPoint because I like to give credit where credit is due. If you're just joining me for the first time in Counselor Chat, my name is Kelly Falterman, and I am the school counselor at Honey Island Elementary. I visit your child's classroom. I should say in a normal year, I visit your child's classroom every other week. And we do a class that the teachers call guidance. I teach your kids about things like bullying, and we had a lesson on tobacco. We're working on we've done some lessons on career, all the things that are part of what a good comprehensive guidance program is supposed to include is what I try to include in my lessons. So that's just a little bit about me. I am a mom. I have two boys. My youngest is an 8th grader at Boyette. My oldest one was a 2020 graduate from North Shore. So I've already been through this parenting in the digital age / I'm still in it. So I just parent teenagers in the digital age, which in some ways is it's just different. I won't even say it's harder. It's just really different from parenting little kids, younger kids in the digital age. So okay, come on, let's go next. Like it doesn't want to listen to me. Okay. All right, so today I'm going to talk about some things like what apps and games you should be wary of, how you can find out which apps are suggested for kids this age, what is the role of parents with technology, and what is the research saying about technology and mental health. I'm going to try to teach you the things that I either learned the hard way or that the different things that we deal with along the way. So here's one place to find help. So hopefully it'll open when I click on it. There we go. So this is Common Sense Media. It's a great website that you can go to. I hope everybody can see that. If for some reason you are not seeing the page that says Common Sense Media, please somebody unmute themselves and tell me, okay? But if you go to Parents Need to Know, you can find topics by age here. You can look at topic things by topic, and then the ultimate guide too. And I think this is really important because these are some of the apps and different websites that our kids go to. I'm going to go ahead and just click on TikTok so that you can see what type of information you can get from this website. So it'll tell you what it is. So here's just these are the questions it answers. Okay. How safe is it? Is it appropriate for kids? Can kids under 13 use it? How can you make your account private? Just all the things that you might need to know. Does TikTok have parental controls? I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. And what if my kid wants to get famous on TikTok? Hopefully that's not really one of the questions you want to know, but maybe it is. Okay. So, another thing that I really like about this website is you can go to apps and games. Come on. Let's see. Best app list. Maybe that's what. No, it's not really what I was looking at. Best apps for kids. And then it will show you some good app recommendations based on the age child that you have. And so, it's just a good place to go to. It actually, if you notice, will give you information on movies and TV, books, just the different things that our kids will try to interact with digitally. All right, so that's one good website. And then I also wanted to show you a website that you can go to find out which apps you might want to be wary of. And I think it's really important if your kids have a tablet or if they have a phone that you are familiar with what different, the newest and greatest apps that are out there that parents need to know about. And it changes all the time, y'all. So I can't even, this is a list that might work today, but it won't work 6 months from now. So I think it's important for you to see the different images that they use, because this is what is going to be downloaded on your child's screen. Like, you're actually going to see this image usually to know if your child has found a way to download that into their phone. And I just think it's important. Among Us is a big one. The kids, even at school, they will pretend play Among Us, like in person. So that's been really interesting to watch at recesses. TikTok, again, it's important for us to become familiar with the different app. Gosh, I don't even know the term for this. But the image that is for that particular app. Because sometimes we don't even know what they have on their phones. And then we see one of these images and we're like, wait, I think I've seen that in my child's phone. And they learn sometimes how to download things without us knowing that they've figured out how to download it. So again, Snapchat, Mr. Jackson at Boyette will tell you that the fights on his campus increased exponentially when Snapchat came out into the world. It's been around for a while. I did not let my oldest child download it until the summer before his senior year. There's so much drama that goes into some of these websites, and we don't want our children to find their identity in what other people say about them in social media. So it's just important for us to be aware of different apps that are out there. And again, the latest and greatest changes all the time. So you want to know, you want to go to websites like the one we just went to and find. So I want to talk about parental controls, and it's not something that many of us just know about automatically. And so I found a great website that gave us good information on how to do some of these things. So if you just want to block websites, if you want to just limit what your kids can search for, you want to go to Google Safe Search but you have to make sure that any search engine that they're using is using Google as the search engine. So if it's great to have Google Safe Search turned on, but if they decide to go to Yahoo or Bing or some other search, then it's not going to work for you. So you want to make sure that they're always searching with Google if you decide to do that. And really, this is something you want to do as soon as your kids start getting online, because you want to make sure that they don't accidentally stumble across something that we don't want kids to see. If you want to block websites and filter content, you might want to consider using the parental controls that are built into your particular device's operating system. So for example, Microsoft Windows, the Mac operating system, and even Amazon Fire offer settings to keep kids from accessing things we don't want them to see. You do usually need to have the most up-to-date version of your operating system. And this is really best if your kids are younger and are using mostly like a home device or like their own device, not where they're using a phone. The problem with phones is sometimes if they go from Wi-Fi, let's say, to LTE, where they're actually on like the Verizon network and not on your home's Wi-Fi, some of those filters might not work off the Wi-Fi. So that's just something you want to consider when you're talking about things that they take around with them. And then if you want to block websites, filter content, impose time limits, and be able to see what your kids are doing, you really need a third-party parental control service. Bark, I've read really good things about. I personally used a website called Covenant Eyes. I paid $15 a month for it. It would send me emails to let me know what my kids had tried to search for, even though it had also blocked their search. You actually have to surf the internet using Covenant Eyes, like their web browser. It's really good even if you, let's say, have another adult that needs accountability. So when you go to the website, actually, it tells you like it's good for people who are trying to stop using porn, for example. That's not what I used it for, but hey, I got the idea to use it from a friend of mine who used it with her kids, and I really liked it. But it gives you a couple of other suggestions right there. Some of them can be kind of pricey, and again, if your child creates a new profile, in Instagram on someone else's computer without telling you, then your parental controls won't cover that account, because usually you have to enter all the account usernames and passwords for the things that you want it to be monitoring. Okay. Let's say you want to just monitor your kid's phone. Then you might want to use an app like Bark or Web Watcher. And those will monitor text messages, social networks, emails, anything that's mobile. But let's see, hold on. It says that these are good if you're concerned about potentially risky conversations or topics you don't want your child engaging in. Bark, for example, notifies you if it detects alert words, like sex, for example. But again, to monitor social media, you'll need your child's account information, including their passwords, and that sometimes, if you have a child that really wants to use it without your knowing, they might, sneak and make another person site, another username. Okay. Tracking your kid's location. Now, this doesn't necessarily seem important probably at the age that your child is now, but once my child started driving, I decided that I really did want to track my child's location. I used to think my sister was crazy because she used an app called Life 360. And I was with her one day and her phone went like, ding. And she said, oh, Will just got home. That's her husband. And I was like, I don't want to know where my people are all the time. Again, when my teenager started driving, I realized I really did want to know that. And so I do use Life 360. I pay, I think, $5 a month for the little, like the next step up. It'll tell you how fast all the people in your house drove. It'll show you where they went. You'll know if they turn their location services off, because it sends you a notice to remind them to turn them on. It's great. I even like it, like my child comes here in the afternoon from Boyette, and I can see where the bus is in the afternoon. So I even like it for that, because it lets me know how close he is to getting to me. Or if he's, if the bus is late, I know, oh, well, he's still at Boyette, and so that, again, I like it for that reason. Let's say that you want to do everything. You want to manage all the devices on the network. You want to limit screen time, filter content, and you even want to be able to turn off your Wi-Fi. Okay. In that case, you really want to probably use something that is on your network. I personally have Verizon, and I have family. I think it mentions it on the next slide, but I can actually shut their Wi-Fi off at certain times. So like if I've told them it's bedtime and they're not going to bed, I can shut it off. One of the suggestions is for parents to have their children charge their phones in another room. But if you've shut their internet off, it might not be as big of a deal for them to charge it in their room, especially if they want to use it as a wake up alarm in the morning, for example. You having the ability to shut that Wi-Fi off is key, or their internet. It doesn't even have to be with Wi-Fi. I can actually shut off their LTE network. But there are also different subscriptions that you can buy to be able to do that. Circle Home Plus is one that's mentioned. But again, the controls may not apply when kids are on a different network. So that's just something to know. I'm not going to read the next everything to you, because I'm going to give you access to these slides. But there's all kinds of things that Apple has, settings that you can use to control your kid's device. including how much time they spend on games and what they download. I don't give my kids my Apple ID password. And anytime I had to, because they were at grandma's and they wanted to update, I always changed it because I didn't want them being able to change settings. I actually also have a restrictions passcode in my kids' phones, and they don't know the passcode. It's my mama's birthday. They're never going to know it. So just find one that you know, 4 numbers that you know that they won't know, and stick with it. All right. So again, some apps will let you control your child's use of the app. Like TikTok has digital well-being features that allow you to remotely manage your child's TikTok from your phone. I think that's really cool. So many kids are using TikTok, and it's kind of scary. One of the things I read about TikTok is, that there's really there's no managing of the content. YouTube is also the same, unless the person gives their YouTube video a rating, right, then kids can watch anything in YouTube or on TikTok. And so you might have a girl dancing to a song with the very revealing clothing on, and you don't want your child seeing that, but there's no way to stop it unless you've managed what they can see. Kids do know how to undo parental controls. As a matter of fact, directions on how to get around them can be found on the internet, because our kids know how to Google better than we do, probably. And then again, some parental controls can be installed without your kids knowing, but I personally wouldn't recommend it. I think it's important for you to let them know that you do have parental controls on their phones and tablets, because at some point you might need to talk to them about what they found. And it's a lot easier to do if your kid already knows that you're looking at or that you're monitoring them. These are just some recommendations by the American Academy of Pediatrics. Babies learn how to converse by the age of 2. And so the more conversation that you have with them, the better. And so kids who are raised watching, TV more than they talk to human caretakers are not going to have the type of command of the English language and conversational ability because they didn't get that as a child. No more than 2 hours of entertainment screen time. I have totally busted that. I want you to know my kids definitely are on the internet more than 2 hours. So I'm not going to be, try to say, oh, my kids follow all this and I'm such a good parent. No, I do still do things that we wish they would not do. Let's see, facts. Okay. Yes, I do have kids tell me that the reason they sleep in class is because they stayed up all night watching their tablets. Usually they tell me, of course, that their parents don't know that they're doing that. You probably have heard this already, that the light, the backlighting from our phones tells our brain that it's daytime, and it stops our body from producing its natural melatonin. And so a lot of times, if you watch TV or you look at your phone before you go to sleep, it takes a little longer for your body to settle down because it thinks it's still daytime. The high use of media is associated with risk of obesity. Your body's not moving, right, when you're doing those things usually, unless you've got the old Wii, I guess, in which case you might be moving. I'm not going to read all this. Instant gratification is a problem with kids in today's society. They can get what they want at the touch of a button. They can get information just by saying, hey, Siri, tell me about whatever. And there's all kinds of information out there for them. So let's talk about what we as parents can do to try to combat what the internet might be doing to our kids. So we should definitely try to get them to play in an unplugged environment, right? We want them to, especially when they're young, learn to use their imaginations, join them during their plugged in time and in their unplugged time. I'm not a huge fan of playing video games with my kids, but I think it's important to watch what videos they're watching. Y'all, the kids tell me that some of the stuff, the video games that they're playing that are rated M for mature, your kid should not be playing that, right? If your kid plays Grand Theft Auto, which they call GTA, that's a problem. You need to, please pay attention to what they're playing. Please pay attention to videos they're watching on YouTube. I remember I had a good friend of mine, her kids are a little older than mine, so I always look to her for wisdom. And one day she was telling me, you need to start paying attention to what Jacob is looking at, on his phone, on his tablet, because of course my kids had many iPads at the time. She's like, because pornography is out there, and she was going on, and I was thinking in my head, surely my child is too young to be looking at that stuff. He was only 10. And she said to me, as if she was reading my mind, and don't sit there and be thinking he's too young for that. And I was like, no, I said, I was just sitting here thinking he was too young for that. So, it's just important for us to realize that our kids have access to so much stuff that, we had to go and try to find when we were kids, or we had to dig around for those things when we were kids, and they don't have to do that. And again, trying to make sure that they're not charging those things in their room, unless you've found a way to shut off their ability to use them. But, even apps can be used. Most of their apps don't need the internet to work. And so, they might not be able to play with others if their internet is off, but they can still play some things. Know your child's friends, both online and offline. When my oldest was younger, I was a lot better at this because I was worried about who he might be playing with. And so I didn't even let him have headphones to play because I wanted to hear what the other kids were saying to him. And I wanted the other kids to know that they shouldn't be cursing with my child because his parent could hear them. So your own media use, of course, will have an impact on your child. So if you are constantly looking at your phone, don't be surprised if they do that too, because they learn from us. There are more than 80,000 apps labeled appropriate for children. Make sure that your kid is using one of those. Actually, let me go back to that. Hold on. The average age children first see pornography is 8. 93% of boys and 62% of girls have been exposed to it. Okay, I just think that's very sobering. Know your child's password on all devices. Check it periodically. I really kind of have the attitude that I pay for it. And it's my job to protect them from themselves. And so I do go into my child's, not my oldest one anymore because he's an adult, but my younger child, I definitely check. I look at his conversations and see what he said to his friends and what his friends are saying to him. And, like I said, hey, it's my job to do that as the parent. Try to turn a mistake into a teachable moment. I did have a child who I found out had seen some pornography because on YouTube, I took YouTube off their phones. Off of their iPad minis back when they had them. And unfortunately, I downloaded an app that was a tutorial for one of the games that they played. It was called Boom Beach. It was like Clash of Clans, where you play with a team. Anyway, when you watched the tutorial video for Boom Beach, then it gave you full access to anything on YouTube once that first video was over. And I didn't know that. So it's, things can come in the back door and you just won't know. And it's hard. Don't be afraid to say no to your kids. Again, I did tell my child who wanted Snapchat no 2 times before the final time when I said yes. And that was the summer before his senior year. Think about what's good for them and not just what they want. You'll thank yourself and they'll thank you later on in life. Again, y'all, parenting is such a hard job. I don't know why we ever thought this was going to be easy. But it is our job to be vigilant with technology and teaching them to do other things besides being on their phones or tablets or Xbox or whatever, like folding laundry, hanging clothes, setting the table, making their lunch. If you were here for my parenting lesson, you probably know that I do make my kids lunch. So again, I'm not perfect at all this, but I do try my best to try to instill some of these things in my children. And of course, most importantly, social skills. I don't know about you, but I'm afraid that my kids won't know how to sit at the kitchen table or the dinner table and have a conversation. And so when we're out with their grandparents, I'd make them put their phones away. And I say, your grandparents are going to die one day and you will be sorry that you sat here and looked at your phone instead of talking to them. And so even though that might sound awful, they do put their phones down and they do have conversation with us. And I think that is super important. It's just life, and we're trying to raise our kids to be good citizens, good humans in a world where there's a lot out there to tempt them to not, to stray from the things that we want for them. So, guys, I hope this was good for you. This lesson will be on our website under the Title I link, and actually all the other videos that we've made, all the other counselor chats are also on the Title I page. That is new to our website. So please feel free to go there. I would love it if you would fill out an evaluation for this one or any one that you've done before. And again, if you did not already put your child's name in the chat box, please do that so that your child will get their reward for you coming. Thank you so much, guys. I'm here. If you need me, you can always reach me by email.